Commonwealth's attorney in Prince William County. Commonwealth's attorney is the elected prosecutor for the local jurisdiction, so this race is about Prince William County, the city of Manassas, and the city of Manassas Park, and it's in other places it's called the district attorney or the state's attorney. It's not like the attorney general like Jason Miyares, it's the local prosecutor. I'm very fond of North Woodbridge. I started my career in public service right down the street at the firehouse in 1986 when I joined the junior fire department, the OWL fire department. I have been a member of that organization now for almost 40 years. I ran active fire and rescue here in Woodbridge for 30 years. And I know these streets very well. I am of these streets, and I absolutely have blood, sweat, and tears in these streets. And I love this town, I love this county, and I always have. It was the real honor of my life to get to work in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office in Prince William County. My fire department career inspired my legal career because as I was in the late 80s and early 90s, while we were dealing with sort of what we've called the crack wars here, I saw a lot of crime, I saw a lot of domestic violence, I saw a lot of drugs, I saw a lot of violence. And I thought I could do something better. And my conclusion was, instead of being a firefighter, I'll go be a lawyer, and I'll go be a prosecutor so I can help people. And that's what I did. So I set off on a long path that led me to working in the Prince William County Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And I got to do that. And while I was there, I got to work for Paul Ebert, who was the prosecutor here for 52 years. I got to learn from him, I got to talk to him, I got to see how he ran his office, I got to see how he treated people. And what he did with people is he treated everyone the same, which is fairly. And when he dealt with criminals, he dealt with them firmly but fairly. And that's what's missing from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office now. The current office holder's name is Amy Ashworth. She's been in office now for almost 4 years. It's the first administration in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office we've had that wasn't Mr. Ebert since the 1960s. And the change has not gone well for Woodbridge. How many people here live in Woodbridge? So everybody, how many people in Woodbridge can feel the change in the crime rate when they go out in the streets? Everybody. Okay, so what's happened? And I will tell you what's happened. The change in prosecution policy in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and there has been a change in prosecution policy, has caused a change in the crime rate outside. And I'll tell you what the changes in policy have been. The changes in prosecution policy have mainly involved treating the criminals as the victims of the criminal justice system rather than the victims as the victims of the criminal justice system. And because of that, you have a lack of accountability for people who come into, when they're charged with crimes, there's a lack of accountability for people who come out. And so nobody's getting punished. If you look at the statistics coming out of the courthouse, very few people are getting, when people are charged with misdemeanors, very few people are getting convicted. When people are charged with felonies, they get reduced to misdemeanors at district court, or when they go to circuit court, they don't get prosecuted there. So there's this absence of prosecution that's going on. And it's okay to be fair, it's okay to do this with a light hand, it's okay to be nice, but what you can't have is have nothing happen. And that's basically what's happening now. So word gets out, criminals talk, word gets on the streets talk. And you get people who realize that, hey, if I spray paint a building, if I kick in a door, if I steal from a shop, if I punch somebody at a bar, what's going to happen to me? And the answer right now is probably nothing. And so you get away with that. Well, what happens if you get away with that shoplift and then you get away with punching that guy in the face and then you get into a knife fight? Are you going to hesitate to stab somebody? No. And this is the problem. We have this big and snowballing criminal problem that's taking over the East End in particular, and Prince William in general. And so I'm here to stop that. We need to get a return back to sort of sensible prosecution policies. I don't want to institute a police state. I don't want to have like a huge crackdown. I don't want to like be unfair with people. But what we need to do is have a situation where if you get charged with a crime, you should expect you're going to face the wrath of the people to the extent that you're going to like get sentenced on something. That's what will stop this. If you talk to the police, first of all, the Commonwealth Attorney doesn't back the police. The police feel unsupported. The police feel like the Commonwealth Attorney doesn't have their back. The police feel like the Commonwealth Attorney wants to prosecute them, not the criminals. And so they've stopped. They respond to calls. All they do is sit around and wait until somebody calls 911 and then they go to those calls. That makes them the fire department, not the police department. The police department is supposed to be out there and be proactive. Find criminals, stop them. Find drunk drivers, stop them. Do patrols so people don't abduct children off the street like hasn't happened here since yesterday, right? Do that so people don't run around neighborhoods with guns out like happened in Georgetown last year and they're in the middle of losing a murder trial now. There's a lot of change that needs to happen. We need to get new prosecutors in there because they need to get the experience back. The turnover in the office has been almost, if not greater than 100%. They've lost more than 100 years of prosecution experience in that office. I have a network that I can bring that back. The main thing is that we just need to realize that together we can fix this. we can get crime back under control. But to change the prosecution policies, you gotta change the prosecutor. And that's what I'm here for. I would appreciate everybody's support. Being the Commonwealth's attorney and talking about the Commonwealth's attorney's race, it's really hard because nothing fits into a soundbite. You can't talk about any single issue without like, okay, there's this whole discussion about what happens in court, and then there's the law, and then there's what happens practically. None of that. I have a really big and growing body of policy material on my Facebook site, and it's also on my website. I'd ask that everybody's here, please take one of my pamphlets from the table, and please go check and then follow my Facebook site, because that's the best way to get my message around. And if you like it, and if you could share it, that's huge. The other thing I'm working on lately, and I know that everybody's doing this, is we're working on fundraising. There's a QR on my materials to do donations, and if you could just consider any donation to the campaign would be most helpful. We need to get, I mean, Jeannie's doing a great job with signs. Everybody's seen them, right? It's amazing. Signs are expensive, and I got to cover the whole county. So, you know, I'm going to need thousands and thousands of dollars, and it starts with 50, 100, 200, 500. And so I'd appreciate if you could consider that. But I'm going to be here until this thing ends. If you have any questions, I've met about half of everybody, but if you're anybody else who wants to come talk to me, I'm happy to come up and talk to anybody about this.
Two other important things that Matt didn't mention was that Paul Liebert, the former prosecutor of Fairfax County, Democrat, endorsed him.
Prince William.
Prince William, yeah, I'm sorry. Prince William endorsed him. And also the police.
Prince William County Police Association endorsed my candidacy also. So I've got the line, that's like their union now. I've got the line of the rank and file of the police department, and I've got Mr. Ebert's endorsement, which is going to help a lot. I mean, it's strange running as a party candidate for this office, because anybody who speaks about party operations, when they're talking about anything having to do with prosecution operations, is doing it wrong. If you look at my opponent, the first thing on her sign is Democrat, and I think she does that wrong. But the main thing is that I'm trying to run a very down the middle, nonpartisan, bipartisan operation so that we can get everybody involved in this, because everybody's problem, and we can fix it, and we'll do it in a way that is nonpartisan and effective. So thank you everybody for listening, and I'll look forward to meeting you all who I haven't met. All right?